Yes, hello once again, and welcome to Brightco English channel. Through this channel, I'm going to take you through grammatical concepts that can help you to become a confident and a fluent speaker of the English language. So, in this episode, I'm going to take you through the modal auxiliaries. The modal auxiliaries. But before that, I'd like to remind you that if you have not subscribed to the channel, please ensure that you do so, share and like, so that the message may also, the lesson and the knowledge may spread far and wide. Otherwise, now back to the modal auxiliaries. So the modal auxiliaries, I had mentioned them in my previous tutorials about auxiliary verbs. So when I talked about the auxiliary verbs, I did mention that they are always confused slightly by the modal auxiliaries. They, as much as they share some characteristics, we find that there is some slight difference between the two. So here I want us now to dwell more so on these modal auxiliaries. Now we can call them the modal verbs, or we can call them the modal auxiliaries. So why do we call them? No, you can see there are two elements there in that name. We have the modal, and then we also have the auxiliary. So in this case here, the modal verb, modal auxiliaries. So you find that from the word auxiliary, here, just like the auxiliary verbs, they will also help the main verb because they cannot be used alone. Mostly they'll be used majorly with the main verb so that it can convey a complete meaning, the same way the auxiliaries do, as we had looked at them before. And then on top of that, being auxiliary, being a helper, they are also modal verb. They set the mode, they set the tone, they set the attitude. There is some expression. There's some expression in a sentence. So you may find that a sentence may carry some mood. A sentence may carry some something like attitude. Can tell the attitude of the speaker through the kind of words that he or she uses. So that's why we are saying that besides helping the main verb to form a meaningful sentence, you find that these modal auxiliaries, they carry some expressions with them such that they play two in one. For instance, what are some of these examples of the auxiliary so that we can look at some of the extra work that they do apart from helping the main verb to form a complete meaning? Now, let's look word like can with its past tense could. Okay? Can and could. So you find that can and could, you can say I can sing, I can play. In that case, you find that instead of saying I play, we say I can play. So you can see we've used it as a helping verb. So that's why we call it auxiliary. And then mode, the mode that it carries. What is an expression that when you use the word can or could, what does it carry in a sentence? So you find that when you see the word can and its past tense maybe could, there is some essence of ability. When you see the word, when somebody says, I can do something, meaning that person is able, is capable of doing that which he or she purports to say he can. So in that case, we find that we use can and could with the past form to express what? Ability. And also could can also be used to express, the same way can and could can also be used to express permission. All right? Could you please allow me to do this and that? Then, or can I borrow your car? You see? So you find that we can use it as to make some polite, for giving maybe some permissions. Then another one you look at, then another modal verb, that modal auxiliary, may and might. Yeah, may and might. Okay? I might go to Mombasa next week. Okay? It might rain this night. It might rain heavily tonight. So you find that being modal auxiliaries, so you find that as an auxiliary, whereby it helps the main verb, we see how we can use it with the main verb. It might rain. I may travel. So you can see instead of saying I travel, now you say I may travel. So in that case, we've used that word as an auxiliary verb. And then also as a modal, which mode does it carry with it? Which expression does it imply? So when you use may and might, you can use them to express something like probability. Yes, probability. When you say it may rain, yeah, meaning you're not sure, you're just expressing some likelihood, okay? Something, you're not certain that something will happen. So in that case, you can say that we can use them to express some probability. So the moment we see the use of may and might, you see that what comes into our mind is that the sense is of probability and also permission. Yeah, permission also. You may I go? May find a student coming to you. May I go out, please? You see, may I have a rest? So in that case, you find that we can use it besides helping the main verb. We can as well use may and might to express what? To express polite request. Yeah, polite request, and at the same time to express what? Probability in that case. Then we also have another one called shall and will. Shall and will. So shall and will, we use these now to express future time. Yes, like you will see the tenses that we had covered sometimes earlier on. You find that we use the future time. So future time we use by expression, or we express by the use of the words shall and will. And what you need to take care here is that will is used with all the other persons, but shall is used with the first person, singular and plural. That is, I shall, we shall, but don't say you shall. Don't say they shall. That will be wrong. Only circumstance where we can use shall with the other persons. Now that is in the event of an event of a command. Yes, a command like the Bible. In the Bible say, "You shall not steal. You shall not murder." Okay, shall not murder. So you find that those are now whatever commands. Those are commands and imperatives, whereby you can use also to express advice. Okay, an imperative you can use to express advice. You can use to express request. Okay, yeah. So that's it. So shall is used with I, but you use it only with the other persons when you're expressing some command, like you shall not kill. The Constitution shall not allow that. That one is allowed. But will you can use with all across board. Then we have also should and would. Should and would. Now should and would, as much as they also help the main verb there, but you find that they can also be used to express conditionals. Yes, we can use should and would to express conditional. If you do this, I would. You see, if you failed in your exams, you would not be celebrated. You would not. So you can see would is used in such conditional sentences, would and should. Then you also have another one called the must. We have must, have to, and their past form had to. We even have ought to. Yes, we also have ought to. So how do we use these ones here? So you find that when you're talking about must, when we use must, must, have to, and even ought to, we use them to express what is called the obligatories. Obligatories are things like commands also. Yes, when you're commanded, it's your obligation. Maybe a duty, something like duty. Yes, when you're talking about obligatories, we are talking about maybe duty, one's responsibility to perform a particular duty. Now, how do we use this? When we use must, when the speaker says must, it means he is the one insisting. For example, when I say, you must go to the hospital, it means the speaker, I as the speaker, am the one who insists. But when I say, I have to go to the hospital, I have to go to the hospital. So when you say have to, when you use have to as opposed to must, that one, it means that the speaker does not insist. It means that who insists, there is some external force. For instance, maybe the doctor insisted, or maybe your medical condition, your health condition dictates that you have to go there. So the person who is speaking now does not possess that authority. If you possess the authority as a speaker, you're supposed to say must. But if that authority is with another person, external authority apart from the speaker, you're supposed to use have to. Okay, have to. And then when you say ought to, here now there is no obligation. There is no force from any authority, is not asserted from any quarter. It is just something that the speaker just feel he or she should do. It's your duty. Like for example, I ought to take shower. You see, that's not something that somebody should force you to do. I should take shower. You can substitute ought to for should. Yeah, I ought to read hard. I ought to revise thoroughly. Okay, I should work hard. So those are now called, it is in a mood whereby there is nobody that is asserting authority. Authority is with the person who is supposed to perform such a duty. So you can see, as I conclude that these modal auxiliaries, you can see the difference that they have between them and just the ordinary auxiliary verbs. because you find that besides helping the main verb to convey some meaning, they also express some other meanings, some other expressions. They put across some messages that could mean other communications as far as the language is concerned, including the ability, probability. All right, we're talking about the obligatories, we're talking about the future, the probability, and the likes. So those ones can be used, can be expressed by use of these modal verbs. Otherwise, I'll see you next time when we'll be talking about other aspects of this. Thank you and see you next. And remember, if you have not subscribed, do so so that we may share this good news. Thank you and see you next.